In our previous video, we talked about the mechanical parts used in the maintenance, repair, assembly, and disassembly of human defense drones. We discussed parts and devices in production. Today, I'll cover materials for maintenance and repair and drone components. First, I'll introduce a device for current and voltage measurements. Our multimeter helps perform circuit tests on motors, ESCs, flight control, receiver, transmitter, and battery, detecting faults. First, I will talk about an electronic device that we will use in places where we need to measure current and voltage on the drone. Our multimeter is a tool that allows us to perform short-circuit tests or open-circuit tests on the drone's motors, ESCs, flight control board, receiver, transmitter, and battery section, helping us detect any faults in these components. You can measure current, voltage, and resistance with the multimeter. Okay, on the current and voltage here. By selecting it together with the help of, we can then control and use it with the joysticks that you can see here and which you will be able to contact. If any of your motors is lagging behind the others during operation and you suspect that this motor is faulty, or if you think the block connected to this motor, such as the ESC or battery, is faulty, you need to separate and check each part one by one. After separating the parts, you can test the motor you see here using the PWM generator you have. The PWM signal generator you see here can be used for a single motor through the flight control board. In short, with the adjustable arrow you see here, you can easily monitor the rotation and speed of your motor. If you don't detect any faults in your motor during this test, you can later check your ESCs using a signal generator. In short, you can easily see the rotation and speed of your engine with the arrow you can adjust here. If you don't detect any faults in your motor during this test, you can later check your ESCs using a signal generator. And this way, you can understand if there are any problems with your ESCs. Check the cell connector structures of our polymer batteries with a multimeter to identify any issues with the drone's battery. Use the power supply to detect problems. By checking the structures in the cell connector of our polymer batteries, one by one with the multimeter, you can determine if there are any problems with the drone's battery. Similarly, you can detect if there is a problem with the drone's battery using the power supply you see here. The output of your power supply can be a source that provides energy to your battery. If your power supply is connected without the battery, there might be a problem with the rotation of your motors. Otherwise, you might think that your battery is faulty. Some of the electronic components on our drone are very important for us. Otherwise, you might think that your battery is faulty. Some of the electronic components on our drone are very important for us. By evaluating some of the electronic components on our drone separately, we can understand if there are any faults, especially to determine whether your flight control board is faulty or if any of the sensors inside it are experiencing issues. By removing the flight control board, you can check on the ArduPilot software on your computer to see if you're getting any errors. Your flight control board, it's a black box that stores flight data in case of any accidents for you. This way, you can also view the flight control board's data from the last flight through the ArduPilot software. We use our GPS units separately. This way, you can also view the flight control board's data from the last flight through the ArduPilot software. We use our GPS units separately. When installing the GPS units, don't forget to connect them to the GPS connector on the flight control board. You have connected it to the GPS connector. If our GPS sees any incorrect data on the ArduPilot software, this could be because it sees itself higher or lower at 0 meters altitude, or because of the Kalman filter error we call EKF. If you're getting one of these errors, your GPS might be faulty. Before testing this, you need to first determine that your flight control board is functioning properly. If there's no problem with your flight control board, then you need to identify that your GPS is faulty. The electronic components we will use are like this in terms of assembly, disassembly, maintenance, or repair. Remember that to repair a drone, you first need to identify what the problem is. And since a drone is a complex structure, it's very important to check each part separately and determine which part is causing the issue. And since the drone is a complicated structure, all its parts are separate. It's very important to check each component separately and identify which part the fault is coming from. After identifying the problem, if you can replace the electronic components you are using, you should do so. If you can repair them, then you need to repair them. For repairing a motor, you need to unwind the motor windings. This is quite difficult, costly, and requires different electronic components. Check cables for faults. If issues persist, update or replace PCB. It is sufficient to replace the cables and check if there is a short circuit or open circuit. However, if you think there is a problem with your ESCs, then you may need to update or replace the PCB circuits of your ESCs. In our upcoming videos, we will continue to explore different methods, structures, and devices related to the maintenance, repair, and construction of unmanned aerial vehicles. We will continue to explore different methods, structures, and devices related to the maintenance, repair, and construction of aircraft.